Alisera stood near the edge of the Taranthian landing platform, her violet eyes fixed on the wide open space of the human receiving dock. Even at a distance, she could feel the warmth of human emotions flowing from the crowd. Taranthians were telepathic by nature. They sensed intention, mood, and emotional energy as easily as humans sensed temperature or sound. But for Alisera, the emotional noise of humans felt like a storm she had never learned to walk through. She was afraid. More than afraid, she was tense, alert, ready to flee at the slightest sign of danger. Her people had come to Earth seeking alliance and safety after their last encounter with a warlike species who looked painfully similar to humans. Tall, bipedal, expressive, and male-dominated. The memories of that encounter lived inside her mind like a scar. The violence, the shouting, the pressure, the fear, it had left her with a deep terror of beings who looked like men. Now she was here, on a foreign world filled with them. "It will be all right," Elder Morave gently whispered beside her, his voice soft and calm. "Humans are different. They welcomed us. They want peace." Alisera nodded, but her fingers shook around the silver railing. "Their emotions. They are loud." Alisera. Alisera. "Loud does not mean harmful," Elder Morave said. "Remember that." But memory was not something she controlled. Her mind still held images of harsh hands and sharp voices from the species her people once encountered. Memories she tried to bury, but could never quite push away. Down below, humans prepared for the welcoming ceremony. They wore bright uniforms and polite smiles. Their emotions were mixed: curiosity, excitement, hope, a little nervousness. None of it was dangerous. None of it felt hostile. But one feeling stood out above all the others. A calm presence. Steady. Controlled. Cool as the surface of a silent lake. Alisera felt it before she saw him. Commander Rian Holt stepped forward from the human delegation. His expression relaxed, his posture open but respectful. He was tall, with a quiet confidence that didn't swell or push at others. His emotions were perfectly balanced, something she had not expected from a human male at all. "That is your representative," Morave said. "Commander Holt." He was chosen for his patience. Patience. The word felt safe, but safety was difficult to trust. Alisera swallowed hard. "He does not feel dangerous." "That is because he is not," Morave replied. "But you will feel that for yourself. In time." The platform door opened, and the Taranthian delegation began their descent. Alisera followed her people, keeping her steps small and careful. Her heart raced, though she did her best to mask her fear behind a neutral expression. Humans applauded as the alien group approached. The sound made Alisera flinch. She tried not to show it, but Rian Holt noticed. He didn't move closer. He simply lowered his hands, signaling the others to stop clapping too. The gesture was small, almost nothing. But to Alisera, it meant the world. He saw her fear and did not push against it. Rian waited for her delegation to settle before offering a gentle nod. "Welcome to Earth," he said. His voice was deep, but quiet, not loud enough to overwhelm her. "We are honored to have you here." Alisera stayed close to Morave, slightly behind him, letting the elder speak for their people. She avoided Rian's gaze, not because he frightened her, but because she didn't know what to do with the calm she sensed from him. It felt different. It felt unnatural in a good way. As the humans guided the delegation toward the ceremonial hall, Alisera walked carefully, eyes down, avoiding contact with any human male. She could sense their curiosity, but none of them felt aggressive. Rian walked at the front of the group, never turning, never staring. He created no pressure at all. Alisera found herself watching him from the corner of her eye. His steps were slow, measured almost as if he was trying not to frighten them, and when she sensed a flicker of nervousness in him, she almost stumbled. He was worried too, worried about making a mistake. The realization softened something tight inside her chest. When they reached the hall, Rian stepped aside and gestured politely. "Please. Enter. You may take whatever space feels comfortable for your delegation." He didn't tell them where to sit. He didn't direct them like children. He simply offered space. The Taranthians settled around a long oval table. Alisera chose the seat farthest from humans. But even then, her hands trembled. Her senses reached out instinctively, reading emotions around her. Curiosity, respect, mild excitement. And Rian's calm center a steady heartbeat in a loud room. Mirave began the diplomatic speech. But Alisera's attention drifted. She studied the humans carefully, expecting sudden changes, bursts of anger, or unpredictable behavior. But none came. The humans were warm, expressive, and emotional, but not dangerous, not chaotic, not violent, not like the ones in her memories. Then, halfway through the meeting, something unexpected happened. A ceremonial server approached with a tray of refreshments. He moved too quickly toward Alisera, and the sharp spike of nervousness from him made her freeze. Her breath caught. Her heart raced. She pushed back from her chair instinctively, panic gripping her. The Taranthians jerked in surprise, and the humans looked confused. But before anyone could speak, Rian stepped forward. He didn't touch her. He didn't approach her. He simply raised a hand to the server and shook his head gently. "Slow down," Rian said calmly. "Give her space." The server apologized and stepped back. And Rian turned to Alisera, meeting her eyes with a steady gaze, not forcing connection, only offering reassurance. "You're safe here," he said quietly. His tone carried no command, only sincerity. Alisera exhaled shakily. The spike of panic faded. She didn't trust him, not yet, but something inside her mind acknowledged that he meant no harm. When the meeting ended, the Taranthians were escorted to their temporary residence. Alisera lagged behind, still shaken. The hallway lights were soft, but every footstep echoed too loudly in her ears. Rian noticed. He slowed his pace until he walked parallel to her, but at a respectful distance far enough that she didn't feel pressured, close enough that she didn't feel alone. "You handled today well," he said gently. "I know it wasn't easy." Alisera glanced at him briefly, then looked away. "Your people are loud." Rian let out a quiet chuckle. "We are. Most of us don't even realize it. But you," she said softly, "you are quiet." "I try to be," he replied. "I don't want to make you uncomfortable." His honesty surprised her. Most beings she had met simply behaved as they pleased. But Rian was different. His emotions were contained, almost disciplined. "Why do you do that?" she asked. "Because fear doesn't disappear by force," he said. "It disappears when you're ready for it to." The words melted through her like warm light. When they reached the delegation quarters, Alisera paused. She looked at him fully for the first time. "You do not feel like the others," she said. Rian nodded gently. "I don't need to." Alisera didn't know what to say. She simply gave a small nod and entered the residence. The door closed softly behind her, and she leaned against it, feeling her heartbeat begin to settle. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the fear didn't fill her completely. There was a small place inside her mind where calm lived, a calm shaped exactly like the presence of Commander Rian Holt. She didn't trust humans. Not yet. But she had met one who didn't feel like danger. One who might, in time, prove to her that not all men were threats. And that possibility, small, fragile, and new, was the first hope she had felt in years. The next morning on Earth began quietly for Alisera. Yet her mind was anything but calm. She sat on a bench near the tall glass windows of the Taranthian residence, watching sunlight spill across the human city. Everything here felt alive, loud vehicles, busy streets, unpredictable movements, yet none of it carried the hostile energy she feared. Still, her fingers twisted nervously in her lap. She sensed footsteps before she heard them. A familiar calm washed over her senses, like a cool breeze. It was Rian Holt. He walked toward the entrance of the Taranthian quarters, but he didn't try entering. He didn't knock. He simply waited outside the open gate, hands behind his back, posture relaxed. He didn't want to surprise her. He didn't want to overwhelm her. He wanted her to choose interaction, not feel forced into it. Elder Mirave noticed him first. "Commander Holt, good morning," the elder greeted warmly. "You may enter." Rian looked through the doorway. His calm emotions reached Alisera like distant waves. He offered a nod. "Only if Alisera is comfortable with it." Mirave turned to her. "Child, are you all right with this visit?" Alisera hesitated. The fear wasn't gone. She doubted it would ever disappear completely. But there was also curiosity rising inside her, gentle and persistent. Rian had been kind yesterday. Patient, slow, safe. She could sense no hidden danger in him. So she nodded. "He may enter." Rian stepped inside with careful movements. He scanned the room openly, so she wouldn't think he was hiding intentions. Alisera appreciated that. The less mystery, the less panic. "Good morning," he said, his voice steady. "I hope you rested well." Alisera dipped her head slightly. He didn't push further. He didn't tell her she should sleep, or that fear was unnecessary. He simply accepted her answer. Mirave motioned toward a table. "We planned to review cultural protocols today. Perhaps the commander can assist." "See. Well. Mirave? Mirave? Mirave?" "That's why I came," Rian agreed. Alisera's heartbeat quickened as he sat across from her. Not beside her, across, giving her full space. His emotional presence remained calm, like a protective barrier against the loud noise outside. The lesson began with simple gestures, human greetings, handshakes, eye contact, personal space. Rian explained each one slowly, making sure Alisera understood that she never needed to mimic anything that scared her. He even kept his hands on the table, fingers apart, so she could see he held nothing threatening. "When humans greet each other," he said, "some people shake hands. But you don't have to." Alisera frowned slightly. "Why do they do that?" "Tradition," Rian answered. "It shows trust. It shows you aren't hiding a weapon." Her eyes widened. "So it began with fear?" "Centuries ago, yes," he responded honestly. "But now it's just a sign of respect." Alisera shook her head softly. "Taranthians do not like touching strangers." "That's all right," Rian said. "No one here will ask you to do that." The room felt warmer, safer. Then came discussions about voice tone. Alisera learned that humans didn't always mean aggression. When their voices rose, they could simply be excited or passionate. It was confusing, but Rian explained it gently, giving examples in quiet tones. He never raised his voice. He never leaned forward suddenly. He remained steady. Alisera found herself relaxing without realizing it. When the lesson ended, Mirave excused himself, leaving Rian alone with her. The room grew quiet, filled only by the soft hum of the building. Alisera looked at Rian. "You explained everything. Very clearly." "Alisera." A small smile touched his lips. "I'm glad it helped. You do not feel like the others," she said again, her voice faint. "Most humans' emotions hit me all at once. Yours are soft." He chuckled lightly. "Soft? That's a new way someone's described me." She tilted her head. "No," he said. "Just unexpected." A moment of silence passed. Then Rian asked, "Would you like to see the gardens outside?" "They're quiet. Not many people go there at this hour." Alisera hesitated. Going outside meant facing more humans, even if only a few. But she sensed sincerity in Rian's offer. He wouldn't bring her somewhere dangerous. So she took a breath. "Yes, I would like that. Too. Rian didn't celebrate. He didn't say good job or praise her like a child. He simply nodded respectfully and led the way. Outside, the air smelled fresh. Trees swayed gently. The path was wide, and Rian walked several steps ahead, not beside her, so she didn't feel trapped. The space allowed her to breathe more freely. They reached a peaceful garden filled with soft green plants and small water fountains. Alicera touched one of the leaves carefully, feeling its cool texture. She liked the quiet. It reminded her of home. "Is it too loud out here?" Rian asked. She shook her head. "Not here. Here. It feels calm." They walked slowly. Rian didn't speak much. He let her observe everything at her own pace. After a while, Alicera asked softly, "Why were you chosen to meet us? You said you try to be quiet, but why you?" Rian paused, thinking. Earth needed someone who doesn't rush, someone who listens, someone who can adapt. My job has always required patience. "Your job?" she asked. "I'm a deep space explorer," he said. "I meet new species, study them, learn how to communicate without creating fear." Alicera's eyes widened a little. "So, you have met many others?" "Yes," Rian replied. "But you are the first who looked at us with such fear." She looked down, embarrassed. "I do not want to be frightened. It is just always there." Rian's voice softened. "Fear is a kind of memory, and memories take time to heal." A soft breeze moved through the garden. Alicera closed her eyes, letting the gentle wind settle her thoughts. When she opened them again, she found Rian sitting on a stone bench nearby. He didn't invite her to sit. He simply waited, giving her the choice. She approached slowly, heart beating fast. Sitting beside a human man felt impossible yesterday. But today, it felt like something she wanted to try, just to see if her fear could stay small. She sat at the far edge of the bench, leaving space between them. Rian didn't shift. He didn't inch closer. He acted as if the space was meant to be there. Alicera looked at him. "Humans. Different good or different bad?" he asked. She considered. "Different, confusing." Rian laughed softly. Alicera found the sound surprisingly pleasant. "Confusing is okay," he said. "Confusion is how trust starts." Trust. The word echoed inside her. She wanted to believe in it. She wanted to believe that not all beings who looked like men were dangerous. But trust wasn't something she could give freely. It had to be built, layer by layer, like slow-growing crystals. Yet here she was, sitting beside someone she didn't fear completely. That was progress. They spent another hour in the garden, mostly in silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, Alicera felt more relaxed than she expected. She learned the names of human plants. Rian learned the Taranthian words for colors of their home sky. It was peaceful. Before they returned inside, Alicera spoke quietly. "I am glad you came today." Rian nodded. "I'm glad you allowed me to." As they walked back to the residence, Alicera noticed something strange. When they passed near groups of humans, their emotions no longer felt overwhelming. They were still loud, but Rian's calm presence acted like a shield, helping her filter the noise. She realized something important. It wasn't that she trusted humans yet. She simply trusted him enough to stand near them. At the entrance, Rian stopped. "I'll send a message to Mirave about tomorrow's schedule. Only attend if you want to." "If Yuan, with Wilded Bun, you do not expect me to?" she asked. "I expect nothing," he said, "but I hope you join us." Alicera's cheeks warmed slightly, not from embarrassment, but from something gentler, something hopeful. "I will try," she whispered. Rian smiled, not wide, not excited, just a quiet, respectful smile. and walked away. Alicera watched him go, feeling her chest grow lighter. The fear was still there, but now, something else was growing beside it. A small, fragile seed of trust. And maybe, just maybe, that seed would bloom into courage she never knew she had. 3 days passed on Earth, and each day brought a small, but meaningful change in Alicera. She still feared human men, still tensed at sudden emotions, still hesitated before speaking, but her reactions were gentler now, slower, less overwhelming. Because every day, Commander Rian Holt met with her, sometimes to teach, sometimes to guide, sometimes to simply sit with her in silence. Alicera learned that silence with him wasn't empty, it was peaceful, like resting under a calm night sky. But trust, even when growing, was a fragile thing, and Earth was not done testing her. On the 4th morning, Alicera met Rian in the quiet garden again. Dew sparkled on the leaves, and a cool breeze moved through the trees. She sat on the same stone bench where she had first dared to sit near him. Rian arrived slowly, giving her time to sense him. "Good morning, Alicera. You look more relaxed today." "I am trying," she said softly. "The noise outside, it does not hurt as much." "That's progress," he replied. "I'm proud of you." She lowered her gaze shyly. "I am not used to being told that." "Well," Rian said with a small smile, "you'll have to get used to it." For a moment, Alicera allowed herself to feel the warmth of those words. Calm, encouraging, safe, something she rarely felt from any being before. But that peace shattered suddenly. The sound of heavy boots thundered onto the garden path. Alicera jerked upright, her breath catching painfully. She sensed anger, sharp, chaotic, unfocused. A group of 5 humans in dark uniforms stormed toward the garden. Rian immediately stood, placing himself slightly in front of Alicera without touching her. "Stay behind me," he murmured. Alicera's heart pounded. The emotions of the approaching men felt like a storm, loud, aggressive, confused. Not directed at her specifically, but loud enough to tear through her calm. Rian didn't draw a weapon. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stepped forward with quiet authority. "Identify yourselves," he said firmly. The leader of the intruders glared. "Commander Holt, stand down. We're here on orders." Rian's tone remained steady. "Whose orders?" "Terranthians pose a threat," the man barked. "We're taking the alien delegation into protective custody." Alicera froze. Her blood turned cold. Her breath stopped. It was happening again, the same fear, the same danger, the same type of beings who once hurt her people. Rian's voice dropped, calm but sharp. "You have no authorization. This is a diplomatic ground. You know the rules." The intruders stepped closer. Alicera stumbled backward, shaking violently. Emotions from the men stabbed into her mind like knives. Noise, chaos, anger. She couldn't breathe. Her knees buckled. Rian stepped sideways, blocking her from their view. "You're scaring her," he said, low and controlled. "Stop," the leader spat. "She's an alien. Fear means nothing." At those words, something inside Rian hardened. "I said stop." Alicera couldn't see his face from behind him, but she felt his emotions. No anger, no panic, just a fierce determination to protect. Elder Mirave rushed into the garden just as the intruders took another step. "You have no right to be here," Mirave shouted. The men didn't back down. And then everything happened quickly. One of the intruders reached for a device on his belt. Before Alicera realized it, Rian moved not violently, not recklessly, but with perfect precision. He stepped forward, placed a hand on the man's wrist, and twisted it gently but firmly, disarming him without harm. The device clattered to the ground. "Enough," Rian said coldly. "You're done here." Security alarms rang across the garden as authorized forces arrived. The intruders were surrounded and taken away. When danger passed, Alicera realized she was shaking uncontrollably. Her breath wouldn't come. The memories of her past pressed in from all sides, loud voices, shouting, aggressive faces, hands reaching. Alicera, Rian said softly, turning toward her. Look at me. She did, and his calm washed over her like warm light. You're safe, he whispered. She had two choices, to run or to trust. Her legs chose for her. She stepped forward impulsively, clutching the fabric of his sleeve like it was the only solid thing in the world. She didn't think. She didn't plan. She simply reached for the one person who made her fear quieter. Rian didn't touch her. He didn't hold her. He simply stayed still, allowing her to decide. Her forehead pressed lightly against his arm. She breathed in his calm, steady, warm, balanced. Slowly, her trembling eased. Mirave watched with soft eyes. Alicera, are you all right? Alicera, are you all right? She couldn't speak. She just nodded faintly. Rian knelt slightly so he wasn't standing over her. It's okay. Take your time. It took nearly 10 minutes for her breathing to return to normal. And when she stepped back a little, Rian's expression held only concern, not judgment. Do you want to return inside? He asked. Alicera shook her head. No, I want to stay. Here, with you. Rian blinked, surprised. Are you sure? Yes. Her voice trembled. When those men came, I did not think. My body just moved toward you. Trembled. He nodded slowly. I understand. But Alicera wasn't done. She looked up at him, eyes shining with fear and gratitude tangled together. You protected me. You protected us. You did not use anger. You did not shout. You did not harm them. I didn't need to, Rian replied. Force doesn't solve fear. It only creates more. Her voice cracked. You... No, Rian agreed softly. I'm not. Alicera took a shaky breath. When I was small, the other species, the violent ones, looked like humans. Tall, loud, male, strong. When they came to our colony, they destroyed everything peaceful. Their anger spread through our minds. I could not escape it. I'm a nuisance. She looked away, tears gathering. Since then, anyone who looks like them feels dangerous. Rian's voice softened even more. Alicera, it's understandable. Trauma leaves echoes. But you, she whispered, your emotions are soft, gentle. They do not hurt. They help. He didn't respond with pride. He didn't smile. He simply listened. And Alicera realized something important. He didn't try to fix her fear. He didn't tell her it was irrational. He honored it, respected it, worked around it. Do you want to rest inside for a while? He finally asked. Alicera surprised even herself. No, I feel safer near you than alone. Rian exhaled slowly. His shoulders relaxed. They sat on the bench again, this time closer than before, though still with respectful space between them. Alicera didn't let go of his sleeve immediately. She held it lightly, like an anchor. Rian stayed perfectly still, giving her control of the moment. After a few minutes, she spoke in a whisper. What will happen to those men? They'll face consequences, Rian said. But I made sure no one hurt them. Alicera nodded slowly. You stop danger without creating more danger. That's the idea, he said gently. Silence settled over the garden again. But it wasn't tense. It wasn't cold. It felt like the quiet, after a storm, where the world becomes clear again. Alicera finally released his sleeve, but her hand remained close to his, as if letting go completely felt too frightening. Rian noticed but didn't comment. Instead, he said, Thank you for trusting me today. I did not think, she whispered. It just happened. Sometimes, Rian replied, our hearts know the truth before our minds do. Alisera looked at him with wide eyes. Something new touched her chest. Not just relief, not just gratitude, but something deeper. A choice. Not forced, not pressured, not demanded. Chosen. She had run to him. She had found safety in his presence. And now, she understood why. Rian Holt wasn't just a human she didn't fear. He was the first human she believed might never harm her. And that belief changed everything. She straightened her back, voice steadying. Commander Holt. Tomorrow. May I meet you again? Rian's smile was soft, almost warm. Of course, anytime you wish. Alisera felt a small, steady glow inside her. Fear had defined her life for years. But now, for the first time, something else was growing beside it. Trust. Real, chosen trust. And that trust was slowly rewriting her entire world. The next morning felt different. Alisera woke with a strange calm sitting softly in her chest. An unfamiliar feeling, but a pleasant one. The memory of yesterday's fear still lived inside her, but so did something new. The memory of running towards safety instead of away from danger. Safety shaped like Commander Rian Holt. She stood by the window, watching the golden sunlight rise over Earth's horizon. Humans were already awake, moving through the city with their natural liveliness. The noise of their emotions hummed around her, but it felt less sharp today. Less painful. Rian's calm had changed something in her. Elder Mirave entered quietly. You will meet the commander again? Alisera nodded. Yes, I asked him. Mirave smiled gently. A brave choice. Alisera pressed her hands together. I do not know if it is bravery. It feels like trust. That is bravery, Mirave said, especially for a heart that has been wounded. Alisera breathed slowly. Do you think humans and Taranthians can truly become allies? I believe so, Mirave replied. Especially when the bridge between worlds begins with kindness. A soft knock echoed from the doorway. Alisera didn't flinch this time. She knew that calm, emotional presence instantly. Rian entered only after Mirave gestured permission. He looked relaxed, dressed in a simple uniform, his expression gentle. Alisera, he said quietly, are you ready to join me today? She nodded. Yes, I feel stronger. He offered a small, respectful smile. Then let's make today peaceful. Rian guided her out of the residence. But unlike earlier days, he didn't walk ahead. He walked beside her, still giving space. Still careful, but closer, as if acknowledging how far she had come. Alisera noticed something too. Humans who saw them didn't stare with fear or suspicion. After yesterday's security breach, Earth had been told the truth. The Taranthians were peaceful, and Rian had protected them with calm leadership. Some humans nodded politely as they passed. Others looked curious but respectful. Their emotions were warm, supportive, even proud. And though Alisera still felt overwhelmed by strong emotions, these ones didn't hurt. Rian spoke softly as they walked. The council wants to hold a public meeting today. They want the Taranthians to share their story. Alisera tensed slightly. Public? Humans will be everywhere. Yes, Rian admitted. But you don't need to speak. You only attend if you want to. Alisera looked down at her hands. Yesterday, I could hardly breathe in front of a few angry men. How can I stand before a crowd? Rian slowed his steps. Because you won't be standing alone. Her heart fluttered a soft, strange feeling. You will be beside me? Of course, Rian said. I won't leave your side. Something warm spread through her chest. Maybe she could do this. The meeting was held in a large open hall with transparent walls. Human representatives and Taranthian elders sat in rows. and a gentle hum of conversation filled the space. The emotions were mixed but not dangerous. Curiosity, concern, hope. Alicera hesitated at the entrance. Her breathing grew shallow. Rian noticed instantly. "We can leave if you want." "No," she whispered. "I want to try." He offered his arm not for her to take, but as a sign he was there. Alicera didn't take it, but she walked close enough that their hands nearly touched. Inside, humans watched with wide eyes as the young Taranthian woman entered. Some whispered softly. Some offered encouraging expressions. And Rian walked beside her calmly, his presence grounding her. A podium stood at the front. Elder Mirave spoke first, explaining the Taranthians' history, their telepathic abilities, and the trauma they carried from past encounters with violent species. People listened carefully. Their emotions swirled, but they weren't hostile. They felt sympathy, understanding. Then Mirave stepped aside. "Alicera, would you like to speak?" Alicera froze. Her entire body tightened. She shook her head quickly. Mirave nodded. "You don't have to." But before he moved away, Alicera felt Rian's calm touch her senses like a soft breeze. She turned to him. He didn't speak, but she saw encouragement in his eyes, not pressure, not expectation, only belief. Something inside her shifted. She stepped forward slowly. The entire hall fell silent. Alicera gripped the podium with trembling hands. The wave of human emotions hit her nervous, curious, hopeful, but she felt Rian's calm behind her, like a shield. "My name is Alicera," she began softly. Her voice shook, but she continued. "I was afraid when I came here. Afraid of all humans, especially men." A whisper moved through the room. "I saw terrible things in the past. I felt terrible emotions, and I carried those memories into this world." Her voice grew steadier. "But here, I met someone who did not push me. He did not demand trust. He did not force anything." She turned her head slightly toward Rian. "He showed patience. He showed gentleness. He showed safety." Rian's expression softened, but he stayed still, letting her have the moment. "For the first time in many years, I believed I could stand beside someone who looked like my fear, and feel something else instead." She took a deep breath. "I felt hope. Silence filled the hall. Not cold silence, warm, emotional silence. Humans looked moved. Some eyes glistened with empathy. Alicera felt their emotions shift from curiosity to respect. Elder Mirave stepped beside her. "This bond, this trust, proves that we can walk toward peace together." The Human Council agreed unanimously to sign the alliance. Cheers rose across the hall. Alicera jumped at the sudden sound. But Rian stepped closer, offering silent comfort. The noise didn't feel painful this time, it felt joyful. When the meeting ended, humans approached in small groups, keeping respectful distance, offering gentle greetings. Alicera responded with small nods, surprised by how natural it felt. Eventually the crowds thinned, leaving only Rian and Alicera in the quiet hall. "You did very well," Rian said softly. "No," she whispered with a shy smile. "We did well." He chuckled. "Fair enough." They walked together through the hallway, sunlight glowing around them. Alicera felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her spirit. At the entrance of the residence, she paused. "Rian?" "Yes? I want to ask something important." He gave her his full attention. "When we met, I could barely stand near you. Today, I stood in front of a hall full of humans. You helped me come this far. You gave me calm when I had fear." She looked down, voice trembling with sincerity. "I feel safe with you, more than anywhere else." Rian's expression softened, not excited, not surprised, but deeply touched. "Alicera," he said gently, "I'm honored by that." Her cheeks warmed. So, tonight, may I stay in your quarters? Only to rest. Only because I feel calmer there. It is not about anything else. Only trust. Rian nodded slowly, respectfully. Yes. If that is what you want. It is, she said quietly. And he accepted her choice without hesitation. Without misunderstanding. Without pressure. Because trust, not fear, guided them both. That night, Alicera rested in a quiet room in Rian's quarters. Rian prepared a separate sleeping area for himself, keeping a respectful distance. But Alicera chose a spot near him, not too close, but close enough that she could sense his calm if her fears returned. She fell asleep easily, for the first time in years. Not because she was fearless, but because she wasn't alone. The next morning, Earth and Terenthia signed a historic alliance. News spread across galaxies, all telling the same story. Humanity and Teranthians found peace through trust, empathy, and courage, not force. And at the heart of this new beginning stood a young alien woman who learned to trust again, and a human man who earned that trust with patience and kindness. Alicera looked at Rian as the ceremony ended. You changed my world, she said softly. Rian smiled. You changed mine too. In that moment, two worlds became one, not through power, but through understanding. A bond chosen freely. A bond built slowly. A bond that would guide the future. And in quiet hearts across two species, a single truth shone brightly. HFY humanity, at its best, lifts others up,